Well, my name is Brian Saviano. I am a full-time family-first content creator across all your favorite platforms, including Twitch, where I'm a partner building all sorts of Lego sets, playing your favorite Nintendo games, Minecraft, and much more, alongside my community of amazing supporters that have followed me all throughout the years. So happy to be here.
Hi, hello, welcome in everyone. I'm Watch Holly. This is BricksOBrian. We're going to talk about season 4 of my interviews. How do you grow while you're offline and not streaming? But first, Brian, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I've been a full-time creator for many years across all sorts of different platforms like YouTube, to having my own Roku channel for my community to enjoy across all the different areas. And it's evolved into broadcasting on Twitch as part of all the infinite things that I do. And I've had a lovely time connecting with other creators, going to places like TwitchCon, Amsterdam, San Diego, Las Vegas, and getting to be part of this whole collective of amazing people multiple times a week and celebrating what makes Twitch great.
Oh, I love that. Wow, Roku, that's so cool.
Yeah, all the things. Gotta have, you know, what I do across all the different platforms. That's kind of what I feel like we all do, having hands a little bit here, there, and everywhere, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. So let's kind of talk about offline growth. Do you use social media, or what's your offline content strategy?
Well, part of the offline strategy is, being on all those different places like YouTube, and I also have my content on safe streaming app Kudoodle TV, so people of all ages can enjoy what I do there while I'm offline as well. Just being able to convey my story through social media posts, whether it is a reel or a YouTube short, whatever snippet I can get people to better understand who I am and where I'm going, that's where I end up demonstrating who I am the best. So YouTube is absolutely part of that strategy, but even just like a random Facebook post about what I'm doing for the week, here's my meal, here's where my environment is. People love seeing those snippets and candid shots offline as well.
Yeah, no, I really like that. Oh my gosh, Facebook throwback. Do you have a
I know, right?
Do you have like your own personal like BricksOBrian Facebook page, like a fan page, or I forget what it's called, like a business page?
So there are definitely dedicated Facebook pages that I have for BricksOBrian as a personality, but then also for my children's book series, Pro Gamer's Guide. So having those entities be on there, and it's really about where people are at, which is probably going to be the theme of this interview. You know, you might not be using Facebook all super often, but there are still hundreds of millions of accounts that are on there. So maybe there's a certain reach that you might not otherwise get by not being on Facebook or X or Blue Sky or wherever. So I try my best to be in as many different places as I can without burning myself out, which is a common thing among creators for sure.
Oh, definitely. So let's talk about like your content pipeline. How do you make the YouTube videos? What do you do with your Twitch VODs? Do you create offline content? I heard you posting like your Instagram story of your lunch and things like that. Kind of talk about all of that.
Yeah, so I first of all am multicasting right now through Twitch and YouTube, just to try to meet that audience where some people, like, they just don't want to go on Twitch. And there's that whole subsection of people that want to enjoy what I do regardless of where I'm at. So that is definitely part of it. And then any iconic moments that I trust my moderation team, my VIPs, my core community members to make, typically get transformed into a reel or a short of some kind. So I take their expert curation and bring that to life through my editing skills with Adobe Premiere Pro and the other stuff that I use as part of my editing suite. So I really rely on them to jumpstart it, but there's also stuff I know for a fact I want to put out other places, like the unboxing or the first impressions or the reactions to a Nintendo Direct or otherwise. So it's a bit of a mix about how it gets transformed in a short form or otherwise.
And how often do you post? You have so many social medias. How do you kind of manage that?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to X or Blue Sky Facebook, it tends to be pretty sporadic in terms of my general thoughts or here's what's the latest happenings, but YouTube and Twitch is definitely more consistent in terms of a schedule and what goes out. So I have that baseline pillar of what people can expect from me content-wise, and then the snippets all throughout. And that's also not even factoring in what I might do on Patreon or the Pro Gamers Guide fan club or other stuff, side special projects that are going on. So it's finding that combination of both, but being more lax when it comes to Blue Sky, X, Facebook, more casual and personable of the moment kind of stuff.
And do you kind of post the same video that you make on all of them?
Sometimes, but what's really interesting, there's a different response depending on the platform, even if it is the exact same content. So what we really should be doing is adjusting the strategy based on what platform is where. So I have a reel, and I linked it as part of this interview, where it was like me talking about my thoughts on the Minecraft movie, the trailer when it came out, right? I'm posting a horizontal video on the YouTube channel, gets a couple hundred to a couple thousand views, but the one snippet that I put on Instagram Reels, it just bam, 150,000 views on there. That exact same video put onto my YouTube channel, I think it was like 15,000 views. So there was something about the captions or the I don't really know. Maybe just Instagram liked it more. So that's kind of how I make those decisions of what goes where. But generally the base of the content is the same, but there's little tweaks that can be adjusted for each of those platforms.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's fair. It's kind of talking about that in analytics wise. What tweaks are you making, and are you looking at your analytics to make those tweaks?
Yeah, it's a combination of analytics and then like a general vibe of what's going on. Like as much as data can be helpful for, what I should or should not be live streaming, if I'm not getting a good sense of community input or discussion while I'm doing, maybe a Lego building live stream, that's my indication to say, all right, well, maybe we got to dial this back a little bit and sift back into Legend of Zelda or Minecraft or whatever. So it's learning to work with those in tandem, because I feel like if we work just with the data, then you're gonna hammer down your live stream into something that you may not want it to be. You want to keep it yourself and personable and what you want creatively to put out into the world. So I'll use the data as a supplementary, sometimes the core of my decision making, but I'm generally looking at how people are feeling, relying on that instinct, that gut intuition that I've developed over the years, and making a key decision that way.
Yeah, no, I love that. So let's talk about not like social media and things like that. What do you do to grow offline?
A lot of it is just, hanging around in my buddies' Twitch chats or YouTube comments or wherever else, like as much as we can be creative powerhouses in our own right and developing our brands and doing whatever, nothing compares to having the support of community, whether it is in your own community or surrounding communities. And content creation can be a pretty daunting and lonely process, admittedly. So finding community amongst other people that are kind of in the thick of it with you has helped me not just grow as a creator numbers wise, but also as a person, which then fuels me to make even better stuff for my people. So it's a combination of, obviously you got to work on yourself. You got to put your own mask on first, right? But learning to integrate yourself with other communities and feeding into what they're doing. And it's a compounding effect of just awesome stuff that kind of pops out of that kind of dynamic. So
yeah, definitely. And when you're editing, I know you said Adobe Premiere and you had some editing programs that you use. What other programs could you or would you use in order to make really high quality content videos?
Yeah, I like having complete control over what the creative vision is. So that's why I go with Adobe Premiere as opposed to leaving too much of it with AI tools like a Opus Clip or otherwise. I think those can be very helpful, and I think that's a good baseline that you can kind of work off of. And I really believe that about any AI tool. I don't think it's going to replace human beings as quickly as we might think, or the whole vision as we might think. So pretty much the Adobe suite has everything I could need, from audio recording, visual effects, video editing itself, and they have a lot going on there. There's obviously a lot of free alternatives with that, with Canva or GIMP or the TikTok CapCut. Yes, CapCut, that's another one. So there's a lot that's there, especially if you're just getting started. So I wouldn't be afraid to use those tools, but I've been using that system, the Adobe system, since I was in high school. So it's just kind of embedded in who I am.
Yeah. And then when you do make these videos, do you kind of create a hook for your short form content?
Yeah, I try to, and I try to keep it as relatable as possible. You know, there's a lot of short form content that is obviously, you know, you have to make it interesting and compelling for the people that are watching, but how can you make as close of a connection with the audience as quickly as you can, right? So it's not just about getting you to watch for a longer period of time, but like getting them to be part of what you're doing, part of the community, So I've generally used a hook like, would you believe me if I said XYZ, trying to relate on that human level of things instead like the ones that I hate the most, just to vent for a half second here, is like XYZ happened, let me explain. I don't want you to explain, I don't really care, and I swipe away. So I'm like, all right, how can I reinvent that a little bit on my own twist and whatnot? So that's kind of how I've gotten there.
Yeah, no, I like it. Okay. And then do you use trends or sounds or anything like that for your TikTok or Reels?
I try to as like a backtracking just to keep it relevant. And sometimes the content I make is actually applicable to the sound itself in a natural way. I tend not to hop on the trend train super duper often, because that can be, you know, you find yourself falling into a cycle a little bit, like, well, it's this next trend, and that can be, you know, exhausting in of itself, along with everything else I'm already doing. So when it complements what I'm already doing, I definitely take advantage of it, but I don't find myself going out of my way as often to utilize a trend, because the connection doesn't last with the audience that I find.
Yeah, that's very true. And my last question is, what advice would you give Twitch streamers trying to break into short form content?
Yeah, I mean, go into your broadcast with a plan. Be intentional about what you want to create, how you want yourself to be seen by people. And that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of discipline and creative energy to make that happen. And once you have that bit of a baseline of how your whole broadcast operates, you can find out these short moments where you can step this out. Maybe it's your opinion on the latest movie, like I did with the Minecraft movie. Maybe it's the reaction to the Nintendo Direct or the State of Play or whatever it is. But having an outline of what you want to accomplish in that broadcast or that week or that month, that can allow you those little snippets to put elsewhere and combine it with all the other strategies. And then you're setting yourself up pretty nicely out the gate.
Yes, no, I love it. Well, Brian, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, of course. Okay. We're going to say goodbye to YouTube, and then I'll say goodbye to you afterwards, okay?
Sure.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Make sure you check out BricksOBrian, and I'll see you next time. Bye, YouTube.